and welcome to Ms Geek Africa, round 2. And I'm Esther Kunda, and I'll be your host in this session. So again, yesterday, if you were here, we had the first round. We had our top 8. They pitched. They tried to convince our esteemed judges that they were deserving of having the title of Ms Geek Africa, and the judges selected the top 5. And those top 5 are again going to try and convince the judges that one of them can be the Ms Geek Africa, the first Ms Geek Africa. So with no further ado, I'm going to introduce first our esteemed judges. We have Claudette Irere. She's the Director of ICT in the Ministry of Youth and ICT. We have Dr. Catherine Adair, Dr. Aminata Garba, Pule Kwelagobe, and the all-female panel. So let's convince them. And once again, I would like to thank our sponsors and partners. First, I would like to thank Smart Africa to have called upon us to be partners in this and extending Ms Geek to the whole continent. I would like to thank My ICT. We've been in this journey since 2011 as girls in ICT only, and then since 2014 when we had the first Ms Geek competition. And I'd also like to thank Imbuto Foundation for the boost they've given us for the past 2 years and helping us actually extend this and showing it to more girls that they're in partnership with. And for our sponsors, I would like to thank Carnegie Mellon, UNDP, Rwanda, GIZ, Cube Communication, KCB, MTN, Inkstain, Pivot Access, RBA, Aquila, Rura, and SSA. So, just for your information, this is streaming on the Smart Africa website. So you can tweet about it. You can tell your friends that are not here to tune in. This is going to be an amazing 1-hour session. So with no further ado, I would like to start this pitching competition. So we'll start with Delphine Michomieze.
Good afternoon once again. My names are Delphine Michomieze. I'm 18 years old and I'm from Rwanda. My solution is water truck. Why water truck? To curb water theft. Water is life, and I believe each one of you before coming here used it. Either you had a shower or simply a cup of tea. Have you ever imagined how much it costs to produce a single glass of water? That is infrastructure, power, operating costs in running machines, administration. 33% of the income expected from WASAC, a water and sanitation corporation in Rwanda, is a loss due to many factors, and water theft being the leading cause. A glass of water stolen is equivalent to a glass denied. And water theft isn't only a Rwanda problem, it's a global issue, and mostly a problem faced by Africans. And whenever distribution of water when water theft is not eliminated. In Rwanda, a meter cube is equivalent to 847 Rwanda francs, and WASAC is currently serving 190,000 households. That is, if all of them are using a meter cube, they are making 170 million a day, and 53 million of this amount is being lost to water thieves. Currently, WASAC has 2 methods to control this problem. This is a call center and an inspection personnel. However, this has been ineffective because WASAC was only able to register 86 fraud cases over the past 2 years. And I've been working with WASAC, and it has helped me to design my solution, which is water truck. I will be using sensor technologies, 3 sensors, and a screen connected to those sensors. The screen will be given to the water corporations. 1 sensor will be placed in the motion sensor to detect motion. One motion sensor will be placed in the water meter to detect motion from the water meter. That is, if the water meter is rotating, the motion sensor will be sensing some motion from the water meter. And 2 water flow sensor, one will be placed on the outlet pipe and another in the inlet pipe. This will be covered well to avoid any damage, either on clean water or on the sensors themselves. A person trying to fetch water illegally will be easily caught because he will be fetching while the motion sensor is not detecting motion from the water meter, which will be taken as a crime, and immediately the system will alert these corporations. And water truck is going to curb water theft, because usually people try to steal water by disconnecting water meters from the tap, or they try to find method in which they will fetch water without the water meters counting the amount of water used. And water theft was really affecting the national income negatively, as well as reducing the capacity of these corporations to provide water, which is going to be corrected by water truck. And I have been partnering with WASAC, and they have assured me to support my project. So winning Ms Geek will help me to get the required resources as well as the networks needed to have my prototype working. I believe in water truck to eliminate water thieves as well as water theft, and this will lead to smart lives for Africans as well as smart Africans. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Delphine. A round of applause. For the judges, do you have any question that probably yesterday you didn't get to ask?
Delphine, how are you?
Fine.
Great presentation. There's a lot of improvement from yesterday. One thing I would like you, what are you going to use the money for? The money that, if you win Ms Geek, what are you going to use the money for? Just go into detail about that.
Thank you for your question. WASAC promised to support my project, and winning Ms Geek will be a significantly amount to use to invest in some resources needed, as well as some networks that I will need to have my prototype running.
Hi, Delphine.
Hey.
Huge improvement from yesterday.
Thank you so much.
And I like your smile.
Thank you.
Relax. Okay, I just had a question about the infrastructure. How new is this infrastructure? How smart is it? Because now we're talking about Smart Africa. So I know you explained it and you explained the sensor, but maybe just tell us a little bit more about the technology itself. Just a little bit.
Okay. There are 3 sensors for this project. There is a motion sensor which will be placed in the water meter. It will be sensing the motion from the water meter, and it won't be damaged because it will be placed inside, and to damage the motion sensor you will have to break the water meter. 2 water flow sensors will be placed on, not in the pipe. They will be placed on the pipe, on the inlet and the outlet, and they will be well covered to avoid any damage to those sensors.
Thank you. Any other question? Thank you, Delphine. Oh, it's fine. You can ask the question.
How are you going to make sure that this new technology, your sensors, are given to the people? I mean, how are you going to make sure that the sensors are taken to the homes, to the pipes and everywhere.
Okay.
I mean, both for the existing ones, and I understand for the new ones it's easier, but how are you going to roll out that?
Yes, I cannot go digging all the way, but there is a routine maintenance by this corporation. I will benefit from that to install my system.
Thank you, Delphine. Great answers. The next presenter is Krista Omani.
Those screams you just heard belong to 26-year-old Malaika, who was alone in her hostel one night when there was a knock at the door that she went to answer. Upon answering, before her stood her hostel manager, who insisted that he was there to discuss her payment issues. Now, at first, Malaika refused, but somehow he was able to gain access into her room, and that night resulted in rape and later an unwanted pregnancy. Malaika could have been anyone. Malaika could have been your sister, daughter, wife, best friend, cousin. Malaika could have even been you. The chances that she would be randomly selected out of all of us females seated here today to be abused, sexually assaulted, or even murdered are close to none. That is why I stand before you today to introduce to you a solution to a very real issue that still exists in society today: her safety. Because hashtag her life matters. Her safety is an application made for smartphones, there to protect you when you can't protect yourself, specifically and specially made for females. Basically, all you'd have to do is long press one of the volume keys on your phone, and it would act as a virtual panic button, which would then follow with a question or a passcode that you'd need to enter. And if after a minute none of these go answered, an alert would be sent to emergency contacts that you set, as well as emergency services like the police and ambulances. That's what makes this project so unique. It's one thing to dial a number on your phone and expect police to come there in about 10 to 15 minutes. But it's another when you're able to remotely contact emergency contacts that care about you, that would drop everything to be there as fast as possible. Now, this project would start off simple, but hopefully through its success, there'd be add-ons such as wearables, like smart watches to connect to your phone, little panic buttons that you could carry around that are Bluetooth, as well as voice activation to make it easier to access when you don't have your phone. Of course, you'd have to have background knowledge on how to be safe. Applications aren't downloaded knowing that you're going to leave your phone somewhere. You'd have to have your phone. So if the question of not having your phone in a specific moment when you need it, obviously if you get that application, you have to have your phone on you at all times. To start off this project, I'd like to partner with women who would be able to help me create a campaign named after her safety's motto, which is hashtag her life matters, to raise funds to sustain this application. I would also love to be able to, through the 3 million Rwandan francs that Ms Geek wins, I would love to be able to provide this to app developers to help me create this application. And also, there would be premium accounts available on the application as well, even though it would start off as a free user account, whereby you have family packs and work packs. What that means is family packs, sometimes you want to know where your children are. I'm sure there are many parents here. You want to know that your children are safe. Work as well. When you have a lot of business trips, you want to make sure that you know that your colleagues are safe when they're in another country or area, and that they're able to contact you when they don't have anyone else around. Finally, because this is a feminist act, when you're affected physically, abused, this is not just a physical thing. It happens psychologically as well. That is why, if this app is successful, I'd also like to create a helpline that you could call to talk to somebody who will be there for you to help you get justice if you need it, as well as just somebody to lean on when you want to talk to them. Thank you.
Thank you, Krista. Pule has a question.
Hi, Crystal. That was really fantastic. Super improvement from yesterday. I see that you integrated a lot of feedback that you got from the judges yesterday. So I'm just really happy to hear you go further and talk about wearable technology and smartwatches. I think that's a wonderful direction to go in. One of the things that you mentioned quite briefly was just online safety, that there has to be something embedded in there so that when they download mobile applications, there can be some form of safety. Can you just share with us like some of your thoughts on online safety and how maybe you might be able to integrate it into your design?
Sometimes you're not able to connect to the internet, which is why this wouldn't be just an internet-based application, but instead GPS activated, so you'd be able to send out your location. And sometimes you're not able to do that as well, so there would be last known location, sorry, so that even if you're not able to send out your current location, they can at least try and track you down from your last known location.
Thank you. Any other question? Aminata?
Yes, thank you for the presentation. Very nice presentation. I wasn't here yesterday. However, I wanted just you to emphasize a little bit more the technologies you will be using for go deeper in the design. So I have a higher level of what the application will be doing, and now how will the application be made? Like now go in the technical detail a little bit.
So I'm not really good at designing apps, but I do want to be able to partner with app developers to help me, guide me in the steps I'd need to make this possible.
I think what would help Crystal, just, like yesterday she wasn't here, just explaining about the button and what's on the phone, that would just help a bit because the image you had yesterday is not here.
Okay, so the functionality,
Yes.
it's it's a very simple application, so all you'd have to do to have ease of access is just long press a volume key on your phone, and then if you don't answer a follow-up question or you don't enter a passcode that you've set, your emergency contacts such as family, friends, even your neighbors that are close to you, and emergency services like ambulances and police are notified, and they're sent your location so they're able to come and help you.
And just a quick question. Maybe I'm attacked and I had my phone, then it drops before I press.
Because it would be, there'd also be the last known location thing. In the case that you're missing or something, they'd be able to look at that application and look back on your last known location.
So does that mean that everybody needs to have the application so that it works? So all the network needs to have this application installed on their cell phones?
I think it would be everybody who's interested would have to have the application installed on their phones, and because it's free, it would be free of charge, unless you want to go into the premium accounts like the family packs and work packs.
Thank you, Krista. I think there was this from the judges. The two presentations are really good improvements from yesterday. So whoever was here yesterday, you're still getting a treat. So our next presenter is Daniela Wase. Please take the stage.
Thank you. My name is Daniela Owase and my project is Made Up. I've seen and I see children suffer. I see our parents suffer. But then imagine a Rwanda and an Africa where medication could be accessed with so much ease without having to move from pharmacy to pharmacy, while saving you both your time and money. Imagine how many lives would be saved if this were to happen. Allow me to introduce to you Made Up. Made Up is solving the problem where people finding the right and appropriate medication has proven to be challenging because the pharmacies in the reach of these patients or these people mostly do not have the desired medication, prompting these patients or these people to move from one pharmacy to another. Some even relying on their weak, sick bodies to carry them around in these movements. Made Up is like your Hello Food or your Uber, but much better since it could be a potential lifesaver for you and your loved one. Made Up is offering people a platform to acquire the medication faster and easily. This is how it's going to work. Made Up, you just have to visit a doctor. A consultation will be carried out. Then your prescription will be given to you in terms of a code. That code is then put on my application. I'm sorry, it was supposed to be projected so I could show you how it's going to take place. But yes. So basically, the whole process of how my app is going to work is you visit a doctor. You're given a consultation, the normal consultation. Then a code containing your prescription is given to you. You can put it on that app, and then the pharmacies from our partner pharmacies having that desired medication will be shown to you. Then after that, from that, you can acquire your medication from our courier services, which will then be delivered to you. My app will be integrated with Visa, which is worldwide and global, MasterCard, the same case, and mobile money, and for those with China Union Pay. In the long term, I hope to extend my app to USSD, which is for those with feature phones, in order for them to access the medication. And then for those with insurance cards, I hope to work with the insurance companies in order to find a way for these people to use the apps, to use my app. I'm still waiting for the, but we all know that health is wealth. And without health, Africa would not be sustained. I believe that at the end of the day, health is one of the most important aspects of life, if not the most important. It is pertinent and a necessity for the human race. So ladies and gentlemen, in order to acquire, to have that desired smart Africa that we are all working towards to, we have to first invest in the health of our people. My app is offering people that opportunity, the opportunity to have their medication delivered on time. I've already had a mock-up of how my application would look like. Unfortunately, it was not able to be displayed here today, but it would be a great opportunity for people to be able to access their medication with or without smartphones, even for those with feature phones. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Daniela. Judges, do we have any question?
Hi, Daniela. So it's kind of the same question that I asked before. So say you win Ms Geek Africa and you get the 3 million Rwanda francs, what are you going to do with the money?
Thank you very much. With that 3 million Rwandan francs, I would love to start testing my app in order to see how much and how many people that it can reach. Because for the moment, I do not have the exact numbers, but with this 3 million Rwandan francs, I would be able to test my app and see how many people it can help out here, and then see how it can be extended to the rest of Africa. Thank you.
Hi, Daniela. That was great. Professor Aminata was not here yesterday, so one of the things that I do think would be helpful, you did have the slide. I know it's not there today, but are you just able to kind of give her, like, I think there were like 5 or 6 steps that went around in terms of from the start, then how it goes, and then how the doctor sends the prescription, just so that she understands what MedApp is.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry again that the slide was not able to be shown, but I'll go through the steps. So first, after you visit a doctor and you're given a prescription, usually we're used to your prescription being written for you on a paper. So now it's a card given to you containing your prescription. Then that prescription is able to be put on my app, and then the information containing that prescription is shown on that app. Then after that, on the third step, the person gets to see the dosage, how the dosage of how you're going to be taking that medication. Then after that, our courier services will get to deliver the medication to you, and you can get to pay for your medication either using mobile money. You can use Visa card, which is global, and MasterCard as well. So yeah, those are just the simple steps. Thank you.
Gladys.
I like that you've added the feature phones, using USSD. But there was a question that was asked to you yesterday about how are you going to add the health insurance companies. I mean, if you had Rama or Mutuelle de Santé, or how are you going to cater for people that have or use health insurance?
Thank you so much. I plan to partner with these health insurance companies in order to ensure that that the people who use the insurance cards can be able to use my application as well. Yes. So partnering with the insurance companies will help me to provide the services to their people as well.
Daniela, excellent improvement. But yesterday you were asked a question about how your app can be complementary with similar apps that are available, and you remember you were asked about the drones, and you explained it, and since you're developing it, and as you develop it, it might catch up with time. So how do you intend to remain competitive?
Thank you very much. My application is here to reduce the cost on people acquiring their medication and on time. And as we all know, drones are very expensive, and it would not solve the problem of people acquiring their medication faster, easily, and So drones are very expensive, even more expensive than the buying of medication. And they're not going to solve the problem of going from door to door delivering the medication, unlike my app, which would offer people that opportunity to have their medication delivered to them at their doorstep. And another thing about competition, I'm offering people, like I said, my app is integrated with so many payment options, and I'm not sure if those other apps have that. And as I know, this is a very wide market, and it's still very undressed. And me becoming another player in this would be a great opportunity to help even those who need the service. Thank you.
Thank you. Aminata.
Okay, so a last question for you. your app means that you have to integrate services from the doctor, so in the hospital, the pharmacy, yes, because the pharmacy must update the product they have, and now you have the person. So what if I'm in a rural area where you don't have accessibility of internet or whatever it is the technology you're using at the hospital, at the pharmacy? You have a lot of players. Now, really the question is, how do you integrate these players and make sure that everybody has not only the app, but the technologies and the infrastructures which are required to make this to happen?
Thank you very much. Because this is an idea competition, right now in my country, Rwanda, because it's where I'm going to begin, it's looking to become an ICT hub, and it has already made a deal with a company called Positivo BGH in order to enable Rwandans to have smartphones. And it's known that in Africa, in 3 years to come, which is 2020, the number of people who are going to be using internet is going to come from 0.3 GB to 4.3, which I'm sure that with that trend in the way things will be going, it will also enable my application to be accessible to many people. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Daniela. I think every judge had a question for you, and you answered them perfectly. For the next presenter, I would like to welcome Leah Akimana.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Leah Akimana. My solution is bus system simulator to improve means of public transportation in Kigali City. Rwanda is a beautiful country. It has around 12 million of people. Around 2 million of people live in Kigali City. 85% of them use public transportation in their everyday life. Let me share with you a story. Yesterday, when I was coming to this place, I was on hurry because I was remaining with Fortinet only. I have planned to take a bus. I spent 10 minutes at the bus stop waiting for a bus. Finally, the bus came. I was so excited. Wow, I'm on my way. You can't imagine. I spent another 10 minutes seated in the bus waiting for it to be full. I was so nervous. I was remaining with 20 minutes only, 20 bus stop ahead of me. I decided to leave the bus and to leave my man. I take a motorcycle. This story is a part of many Rwandans that use public transportation in their everyday life. When dropping children at school, rushing for a job or a meeting, or in other activities. Currently, the most well used we know in Rwanda is fighting for a bus that can even cause accident. Another way is to wait on a long line that can even cause problem to pregnant women, people with disabilities, or other people in general. This is due to not be aware of the schedule of the buses, or available space in the bus. All drivers are spending much time at the bus stop. Ladies and gentlemen, here is a solution. BSS, Bus System Simulator, is a web and mobile-based application harnesses technology to improve means of public transportation in Kigali City. This will use a geolocation technology, and a GPS will be placed in a bus. A passenger will have to download an application, BSS application, with the device. First, create an account. Second, log in with the account. Select bus route. After selecting, there will be a map, and the route will come. After, you will track the bus that you need. We know in Rwanda, each bus has its own number depending on the destination. For example, 302, it means Kimirong town. 305, Kimirong Nyabugogo, and so on. After knowing your bus, you will know how many minutes and distance that is remaining to reach at your bus stop. And also, I intend to work with AC Group Tap and Go to know free space in the bus. By the way, I will work also with public transport operators to to arrange drivers when are spending much time at the bus stop. 5 minutes could be the best at least. Imagine if at each bus stop you are spending more than 5 minutes, it will be a long time. I intend to make money in-app advertisement. I'm a software engineering. I have already started to develop this project and I will release it after 6 months. If I'm selected as Ms Geek winner, this will help me to go further in my project because there will be need more equipment or resources or devices in other way. This will help commuters to make also viable decision in each way of transport to use. Let's make Kigali City smart city and fast forward. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Leah. A round of applause. And now for our judges. Anyone has a question?
Hi, Leah.
Hi.
And you've done very well today. Huge improvement from yesterday again, like the rest. There's something in your application you say that it alerts drivers when they're spending too long at this stage in the app. Just how does it do this? Is it, just explain a little more on how it does that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Maybe explain that first.
This will be not with the application. It's a part with the application. There will be a buzzer in a bus. Maybe I didn't mention it. That when we be knowing if the driver has reached at the bus stop, it will start to count. If it reach at 5 minutes, the buzzer will be notifying, leave the bus, leave the bus stop, leave the bus stop. That's how I know it will be working.
And, okay, sorry. And there's just one more question. You remember yesterday I asked you a question that there are similar initiatives in other parts of Africa.
Yes.
What makes yours different?
Okay, thank you. I made a research. Finally, but didn't get more information. But let me show something. Before they come here, I will be there in Rwanda. There's no any other company that help Rwandans. I will be there before them. And even to go to compete with them. And we know we have Beka, we have also Equity Bank, and what they work together. We will work if I go in their country, and I know I will be the one to get the market.
I love the confidence, Leah.
Okay, thank you.
So, well, I'll just give a comment on, one of your competitors is the Port Authority. Port Authority bus services, I think. Just look for Port Authority and then just look at what they're doing. And then my question was, you said you're a software engineer, right?
Yes.
So tell us about the technologies that you are using in your application and why you chose to use those technologies. I believe this is your 3rd-year project as well.
Yes.
Yes, so.
Thank you. In developing, I used Python. And there will be also Android for the application. And a GPS that will be placed in a bus will help by calculating the GPS coordinate of the driver and the commuter. By an e-learning machine will be predicting the velocity of the car to know how many minutes are remaining to reach at the commuter and the distance. And we know also Google Maps do it, but the Google Map, it has approximate. But to me, I will use an algorithm to calculate that distance and minute by predicting the GPS coordinate from the driver and the passenger. Did you get the whole solution?
Leah, Lynn is a software developer and she's a Python, so look for her after this. Yeah. Any other question for that?
You mentioned that you'll work with AC Group.
Yes.
To know about the spots left in the bus.
Yes.
Could you explain more? Could you elaborate? Thank you.
Thank you. AC Group, it's tap and go. When a passenger tap, it shows the number of people in the bus. and I intend to work with them if I know they will work with me, because we are helping the public transporters they are helping. So they will be able to know free space, meaning when they reach, for example, if you are coming from Kimirongo, you tap. When you reach in town, they reset. That means the first round has already finished. So that's how I will be knowing it.
Thank you. Are you convinced? Great. Thank you, Leah. Just so you know, when we went to Ms Geek Africa, we extended to all 17 member states of Smart Africa. And among our top 8, we had 3 nationalities: Niger, Rwanda, and Kenya. So our final presenter is Ruth Waiganjo from Kenya.
Caroline had recently started her new job. She had been working for 5 days, and the next day was her off day. So that evening, she took a motorbike home, and on the way, she got hit by a van. When she went to the hospital, they had to put metal in her leg for better support because her leg was broken. The driver who caused this accident went and filed a police report stating that he wasn't drunk when this incident occurred. So Caroline has to go to court in order to get compensation from an insurance company because this driver lied. When an accident occurs, an insurance company has no real-time information showing when, how, who, and where this accident occurred. All they use is reports from inspectors and the police. And when a driver wants to get insurance, they don't have the data showing the behavior of this driver on the road. All they use is personal details. They don't know the behavior. And isn't that the risk they're insuring, a driver on the road? So technically, they should have the behavior of that driver. In Kenya, we have matatus. They're the form of public transportation. And by law, these matatus are managed by SACCOs. And these SACCOs are having a hard time controlling and managing these drivers because they are very reckless and risky on the road. My solution is to use smartphones or sensors to collect data from these vehicles. And this data will be analyzed through a machine learning algorithm, and the output will be the driver profile and their score on the road. So what I've done now is I've used a smartphone application that utilizes Android applications, and it uses the sensors within the phone, such as the gyroscope, accelerometer, the GPS, to collect that data. And that data is stored in a cloud in which my system will use an application programming interface to collect that data and analyze it through a machine learning algorithm, which I have identified as the support vector machine. Now, what that means is this algorithm will be able to classify that data according to supervised learning. That means that data will already be classified in order to predict. To go into more technical details, I'll be using the Python programming language because it's compatible with hardware and software as well. And if I use the smartphone to collect data, I'll be using the Android application. My system will have as the backend the Python programming language and also to develop the machine learning algorithm. For the front end, I'll use the material design for the user interface and JavaScript. So this data, in order to collect it from the drivers, because I need to collect it from them, we can use low premium insurance rates as incentives. And also, we can convince the SACCOs who manage these drivers and by law employ these drivers to compel them to bring forward reports showing their behavior on the road in order to employ them. This can also be used by transport managers, such as schools, who are hiring school drivers. The possibilities of this data is very huge because it can be used for behavioral analysis of a driver, such that if a certain data is linked to a drunk driver, we can use patterns of that data to predict future drunk drivers on the road. In implementing this solution, I'll use some funding that I might get through winning the competition to develop and test this application. Because currently I have access to 52 Matatu data that is being collected every 30 seconds and being stored. So the only part I'm left with is creating the application for this data. In order to have smart cities, I believe we need the data on the road, because intelligent cities are created from learning through previous data. That's why collecting this data will not only be used for driver profiling, it can also be used for traffic. It can be used to analyze the data on the road to tell a driver that there's traffic on this route, go to this next route, for scheduling. And in order to create smart cities, we need this kind of data. This is the basic foundation of creating smart cities. And I believe it can work through this application. Thank you.
Thank you, Ruth. A round of applause. Catherine has a question.
Ruth, thank you very much. And that was excellent. And also, again, another huge improvement from yesterday. What if you don't win, Ms. Geek? What will happen to your application?
It will still go on because I'm in my current 4th year doing computer science, and this is the project I'm working on in school. So regardless if I win or not, this project will still go on because I have to graduate. Yeah.
Ruth, very, very, very good improvement from yesterday. I have 2 questions for you. The first one is, how are you going to protect your users from quote-unquote security agencies, people like the police who will love your driver profiling application because that means they can give people tickets just like that. And secondly, it's on the machine learning side. So you said you chose to use support vector machines. Tell us about other tools that you used or algorithms that you used that didn't work out for you.
Actually, I had to choose between 2, the support vector machine and k-nearest neighbor. And with the k-nearest neighbor, it classifies an object based on the neighbors. Like, if you belong to a certain, if I want to identify you, I look at the neighbors around you and classify you with them. So I saw that support vector machine is much more better because it doesn't classify an object based on the surrounding data. And for the first question, where you asked, can you repeat the first question, please?
So the first question is, so you have Kenya Traffic Police, right? So your app will be profiling drivers and, telling you when this other driver is, a bit drunk, the score goes down, or a good driver, score goes up. So your traffic police might love your app and say when the score is down, when they meet that driver on the road, they give them a ticket.
Okay, actually in Kenya, we are rolling out the digital license. So that means that your license will have your profile as well, like the number of fines you've paid and if you're caught doing anything wrong on the road. So my system can be used to validate the information on a smart license. So I think the government wouldn't necessarily use my information as a basis, but will use the smart licenses as a basis. So I can validate the information on the smart licenses that they give.
Thank you for this presentation. I have 2 questions for you. The first one is about the data. So if you have to collect that much amount of data, after some times you will have a lot of data. And you need to store that data, you need to process that data. This requires costs and energy, a lot of things. How will you handle this? The second question is about privacy. How would you convince people to actually go with this system where at the end, everywhere they have been can be traced back, they can be an issue of privacy. So how do you take care of this in this application? Thank you.
For the first question, I haven't really thought about the storing of the data because currently the data I'm using is already being collected and analyzed by another body called EcoMobile. So I'm using their data to create the application. So hopefully if they like the application, they can implement it in their system as well. And for the second question you've asked about, oh, privacy, yes. I actually read about the ethics involved in data integrity and authenticity of this data. Like someone can be at a distance collecting the data as well. So we'll be looking into security mechanisms to protect that data as it's being collected and the ethics around it.
Hi, Ruth. That was really excellent and tremendous improvement from yesterday. I think my question has to do with more of the involvement of the passenger within your application. You know that like Uber, for example, allows you at the end of a ride to rate the ride in terms of how you felt about the driver. Is there something embedded in your technology that the passengers in the matatu can also kind of have some type of app that's linked to that allows them to feed into the system as well in terms of their being able to report like their own experiences?
Yeah, that's a nice way to look at it. But currently, I'm not using crowdsourcing as a way to validate the data. I just want to use the real hard facts as I have them, and eventually it could evolve to that.
My question is, people with smartphones drive their own cars. No, this is just an assumption. So this means that people that ride matatus are feature phone owners. Yeah, mostly. I'm not saying it's everyone, but mostly. And your technology is using smartphones and sensors. So how are you going to cater for the feature phone owners? How are you going to help them, you know, be safe?
Okay, so because we can't buy for every driver who doesn't have a smartphone, I think with working in this solution, we can first start with drivers who actually have the smartphones. And as I've said, I have data from 50 to 70 matatus. So that data is already being collected through sensors, which is much more accurate. So I'd rather use that first now. And eventually, if the solution generates enough money to provide smart sensors, because I'm leaning more to sensors because they're more accurate, I can be able to use them. But if a driver does not have a smartphone, I'll opt to use another driver who has a smartphone.
So I have one other question for you. What type of data exactly do you analyze beside the speeds? What exactly is the data you analyze to say that there is a safety issue or this is a good driver or not a good driver?
Yeah, thanks. That's a nice question. I have the speed, the acceleration, date and time, route ID, and the jack, which is the change in acceleration. Now this data, when it's analyzed, it will be classified into events. So the events will include hard acceleration, sharp turns, and overspeeding. So with that, I can be able to tell a driver who has a high percentage in their sharp turns to give them a low score and a lower profile. So that's how I'll do it.
Do you look at things like accident, like the driver didn't stop when there is the lights, collisions, etc.? Can you look at those type of?
Yeah, so the data can be used to look at those things because even when an accident occurs, there's a sudden deceleration. So you can look at the speed previously and the next speed. So if someone was going at 50 kilometers per hour and then the next data shows 0, that's a problem. And it could mean that's an accident. So we might look into that.
No, this is not a question. So you sigh. No, this is more about application. You could, like when you said from moving from 50 kilometers an hour to 0 suddenly, that might mean it's an accident. So your application could be relevant to emergency services as well, or to the traffic police who monitor the roads. So, you know, and the other thing is the data that was collected, I thought about this when Aminata spoke, could be used to categorize areas. It's not good, but categorize areas and know which area needs more help in terms of learning about road safety, or which drivers need more help in terms of understanding traffic laws or traffic rules. Yes.
Thank you.
So this will be my last comment for your project. Is maybe a comment actually for your next real project at school. If your driver stops suddenly, it doesn't necessarily mean that he's a bad driver. Maybe he's a good driver, something's just coming and then he stopped. So how do you take into account this, and then don't give him bad grade because he really reacted to something and saved life? So this is one thing. So maybe just taking these data, collecting this data from the acceleration and so on, may not be sufficient to tell you whether he's a good driver or not. Maybe there is really, when you drive, there can be a sudden event which come, and you need to find a way to take that into consideration in your algorithm.
Yeah, actually, when analyzing a driver, you use the data assessed over time. So we get like the mean score or something. That's what we can think about it that way.
If no other question, thank you, Ruth. A very big round of applause for her. So she was our last presenter. So who do you think was the winner? Yeah. So we won't tell you today. Why? Tomorrow is the Smart Women's Summit, tomorrow morning, and that's where we're going to crown our first Ms Geek Africa winner. So right now the judges are inputting the scores in the software. It's going to tally itself, and then it will all be revealed tomorrow. So as in Kinyarwanda we say, Moshonje muhishiwe. So to close out this session, all the girls, our top 8, we were looking for, among our sponsors, we were looking for great gifts for all these girls because they've done a tremendous job, as you can agree with me. So Digital Opportunity Trust is giving them laptops, each one of the top 8. So when we say you're all winners, we really mean it. All the top 8 are winners. So in closing out this session, I'd like to call upon the President and CEO of DOT, Dr. Janet Longmore, so that she can give us her closing remarks. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, and my goodness, you are all stars, and I love the innovation of your ideas and the courage that you've just shown to all of us to be in front of such an esteemed and talented panel of judges. And so my congratulations to all of you. And as we said, you are all winners. And when I think of the many, many young entrepreneurs and social entrepreneurs we've worked with in the DOT network, there are things that really stand out that each of you talked about. One is that your ideas are really about inclusion and a social impact. And I think that's an incredible trend that as young women you are leading in your country and across the continent. I think the social innovation and social entrepreneurs is a growing market and is critically important. Secondly, you know your communities, and the research that you do, and you will continue to do more with the users, the people in the community, understanding their needs, and then seeing how technology can really address that special need, particularly for women. Because women and girls, as you pointed out, whether it's safety or health or other areas, sometimes have unique needs. And we know that worldwide we need to see more women and more young girls building innovation and digital skills and creating enterprises that meet the needs of women and girls. So I really found that each and every one of you were listening carefully to perhaps some unique needs that are out there, and carry on doing that, because the way a business will grow is when a business, as you know, responds to the needs of the customer. And going forward, there are challenges ahead in creating any social enterprise and any business. And three big things to always remember, and I think for all of us in the room, we can remember this, that staying true to your passion is critically important. I once sat on a panel with many esteemed guests, but we were talking to a group of young university students, and one young woman asked a question, and she said, you know, I'm really struggling now. I don't have any more money for my project. I thought I could grow, and I'm hitting a wall every time. And what should I do? And I looked at her and I said, is this project that you're working on, is it really about your passion? And she said, yes. And the person beside me, and I said, not so sure about that. I really think that staying true to your passion. And right after our panel, there were 7 of the top entrepreneurs worldwide who were in a circle talking about their experiences. And their advice to everyone in the audience was, stay true to your passion. So don't forget that. It is the driver that gives you the persistence that you will need to keep going forward, to overcome the barriers you face as a young, growing social entrepreneur and a woman as well in a sector, and you're going to be leading the way. So passion and that persistence. And then your networks. Don't forget about networks. And the help that you will need, because you have unique talents, but to really grow and create a successful social enterprise, you will need a team around you who have other talents, whether it may be in the finance area or in the marketing area. So keep nurturing your networks. They will be critically important as you start up a business, as a social enterprise gets started, and as you grow, or you shift into another path in this journey that's ahead of you. So your networks, both within your peer group and with others, the mentors you'll discover, the connections you make, are very, very important to carry with you throughout your entire journey ahead. So I think the judges have a difficult decision, a very difficult decision. And we are all excited to hear tomorrow. So I hope we will all be at the Women's Summit. Dot was just thrilled to be a part of this first ever Ms Geek Africa competition. So we are, again, you are paving the way and expanding horizons and changing attitudes. What a great tagline. So my congratulations again, and thank you to our judges and to all. Thank you.
Thank you, Janet. In closing, I'd like to say 3 things. One, for all gold and platinum badge holders, you're invited to a gala dinner at Serena. Second, when we are done, I would like the top 8, the judges and Janet, to have a photo session here. And lastly, when these girls start their project, put them out here, I hope you'll be their first customers. So I wish you all a nice afternoon, great sessions, and again, have a nice day tomorrow. See you tomorrow. Have a nice day. So I would like top 8 please to come to the stage, and the judges and Jan.